Words of my good friend Nug. Welcome to Aftermath Digital TV. Caroline here with the boys talking about everything we want to talk about, what you guys want to talk about. Post your comments, questions, how you feel. Even if you just want to say hello, we want to say hi back. So yeah, I think we should give some time to let people join. And in the meantime, what's up with you guys? How's your Friday?
So far, so good. I mean, yesterday started with the little maintenance outside, the outdoor maintenance of trying to get the lawn somewhat looking good. And I don't have a green thumb. Audra has the green thumb. Mine's more purple at the end of the day because of little things that happen. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. The hard part is this isn't bragging that I have a pool. It's actually annoying because I got to get to that sooner or later. And that's not easy. Especially when you can't go now. Where do you get the chlorine? Are you allowed to go into the store to get the chlorine? Do you have to do a drive-by? I don't know. I don't know how it works.
That's awesome, though. I'm sure you'll love having that pool when it gets hot outside, though.
Yeah, I'm using this quarantine time to. So you're supposed to cut your lawn frequently, keep it short and frequent, and it activates the roots. You know, I cut it when it gets too long, but now I'm able to cut it at the right time. Because before it would be so long that my wheels would make those marks of the knocked over grass. You know what I mean? Anyhow, so the grass is starting off better than normal this year. It's like turf back there. Also, one thing, when my wife and I bought this house, we said, one day this backyard will be like, the kids can play in there and stuff. And this is the first summer. Marco's obsessed with the backyard. He has a little playground. I got the garden. Stashu fetches the tennis ball. Now I have a hockey stick. I shoot the tennis ball. Stashu goes after it. And we're just in the backyard every day. And it's just nice to just, make it useful.
I love that. Guys, Anthony's dog, for those who aren't Polish, his name's Stashu, which basically means Stanley. And it's like makes me so happy. The next time I have another dog, I'm going to give him a Polish name just because of that, Anthony. I think it's so cute.
I like that too, because it's like, oh, that's a beautiful name. It's Polish. Yeah. What does it mean? It means Stanley. It's just so great.
Well, here's one, because a very famous common Polish name is Bartek, right? Mm-hmm. But if it's a dog, you can call it Barktek.
Yeah, or Bartusz.
Stealing my gimmick here with the bad Corderis jokes. What's going on?
This is so good. And Nug, how are you?
I'm great. A million things are happening over here in my world, but I wanted to give a shout out to one of our Aftermath fans, Mike Honer from Clinton, Ontario, longtime fan, always comments on Twitter and Instagram. But Mike had, it's not a great time for this kind of thing, but Mike had surgery this week to have his esophagus removed and rebuilt in the middle of all of this. So I've known him for a long time, and he's real mouthy, and we almost came close to having our dream of having him shut up forever come true, but we didn't. So he's getting it rebuilt, and he's in the hospital enjoying some recovery time. But I don't know. Being in the hospital during this nonsense isn't the best place you want to be. No one can visit him. Can't really do anything. You can't get a guy to come in and install cable. So he's just sitting in his room. So hopefully he's got an iPad. What's up, Mike Honer? Get well soon.
Get well, Mike.
Yeah. That's a heavy-duty surgery, man.
Yes, it is.
But it's amazing, too, to think about that. They can reconstruct your esophagus and all that kind of stuff.
I saw a video of it. They're cutting basically from here to the top of his stomach off, and then they take the top of the stomach and pull it all the way up to here and attach it again. So basically his stomach is now super long, and it's a very odd surgery.
Wow. So when he swallows food, it doesn't have far to go before it goes kerplunk into the belly.
It is also, I don't think there's much of a belly anymore, so I think it goes kerplunk somewhere else almost immediately.
My goodness. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is
crazy.
I know. Oh my, okay, well, thoughts and prayers.
God bless him, man.
Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
Get well, Mike.
Yeah, get well, brother.
Guys, I'm going to leave it. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Do we want to start with questions, or do we want to start with the IC? Okay, so first, we have a question. Should Asuka's title run be as long as Becky's? Hopefully.
It should be as long as it ends up being. It all depends on how the story plays out. I mean, I don't think we should be concerned about how long someone holds a title or and that sort of stuff. Just as long as the story moving forward makes sense. Obviously, I'd like to see her have a nice, lengthy title reign that's meaningful. especially because she is so good and deserves it. But at the same time, if there's a story somewhere out there with someone else defeating her for that title, and that story makes sense and adds more drama and more excitement, gets me more invested in it, does it really matter? You know,
Well,
it's like,
I'll tell you
yeah.
a bit about Asuka. And first of all, she's the best. Just Asuka.
Just Asuka.
Yeah, no, no.
Anthony, you say this joke every Friday, and it never gets old for me.
Okay, I'm going to get a lawyer or gimmick infringement.
She's so good, and her offense is so crisp that it reduces the amount of believable opponents she can have. Because when it's her time to, since we're talking about that her title run is a predetermined amount of time, then I'll go in that direction. When it's the other person's turn to do some stuff, it just it doesn't look right because Asuka will smash them. And you know who was like that too? Shelton Benjamin. When it was
Ooh.
time to turn it around and take control of the match, Shelton Benjamin was so smooth and strong. It looked like they're exposing the match a little bit because she's so good. And anyway, so she has a limited number of opponents that can believably fight her, right? So you got Naya. If Ronda comes back, there's Ronda, Charlotte, and Shayna. Really, those are like the toughest girls that could make it look believable. Anybody but like Sasha and Bailey, she'll murder them. I mean, all the other girls, Carmella, they're not even the same category. Her offense is way too crisp. So, but that goes towards what Jimmy's saying. Let's see how long she can have these believable and matches that you're into, that you're invested in, that makes sense, as opposed to matches where you're like, oh man, she's going to kill her again, obviously, and then you're going to lose interest. So it's a wait and see game.
And I would prefer to wait and see. This person who asked the question, and a lot of people who ask this question, you've already planned her loss. She's had the belt for 2 weeks. Enjoy it. Enjoy what's going to happen. Don't plan for the inevitable of when she loses her title again. Enjoy the ride. You've already figured out the ending. It's like you've already read the book, figured out the butler did it, and are just trying to figure out how it's going to get to that spot. Forget it. Just enjoy it. Don't read ahead in the book. Deal with what is happening in the present.
And look at it like it's real competition. Her title run will be over when she loses, as opposed to when the writers are going to decide.
And to Nug's point,
Real,
really
damn
quick.
it.
Yeah, even to Nug's point, even if you do look forward and let's say you have an inkling or you figured, hey, this is definitely where this story is going, it's okay sometimes to know the ending. It's the journey and the story getting to that ending that's the exciting part.
Oh yeah, if you watch a really good match from the past and you know the outcome, and if it's done right, it'll still get you excited. Just like watching a movie for the second time.
Well, Nug, it's so funny you're talking about staying in the moment and don't read the last chapters of a book first. That's literally what I do sometimes. So I'm trying not to do that with
Don't
certain.
do that. Oh my God.
I don't like the suspense, and I like knowing what happens. So I'll like read like the last 5 chapters at some point to find out if the two people end up together or whatever I want to know.
So
and then I'll go back.
Let me ask you this then. When you were a kid in school, after you would honestly do the math work on your own, you would confirm with the answers in the back of the book, right?
100%. And if it wasn't right, I would ask people how to do it because it would bother me.
Okay,
Kids at home, don't do that.
Yeah. Here's a real old school hockey reference for anybody at Sportsnet that was alive back then. It's like the old Howie Meeker. You just can't do that. Anybody?
It's
Anybody?
so funny.
No, I bet nobody there. Everybody's looking at me like, "Who's Howie Meeker?"
Howie Meeker, he's the father of Beaker from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Nug, there's a nice comment in here. People like your shirt.
Yes.
And they said that they hope that we talk about Owen Hart. Do you guys have any stories? Anything you want to share?
Oh man, yeah. It's obviously tomorrow being the anniversary of the tragic passing of Owen. It's been a tough week with all that's been going on, not just with Owen, but a friend of ours, Shad, as well. Not to say anything. I've done a few interviews, and everybody likes to. I'm going to focus on the positive today. I want to keep this a little upbeat and talk about the person Owen Hart was and what a good guy he was, and just the fact that he was a bright spot in a locker room. And let's be honest here. Sometimes in the wrestling industry, you get a clash of personalities. You get a lot of egos backstage that kind of don't gel well. Keep everybody happy, light, joke around. The classic Ribber, as we like to call it. I fell prey to a couple of his pranks back in the day, but probably the best one ever, in my opinion, was when there was scheduled to be a hog pen match
Yeah.
way back when, and we were waiting for the delivery of the livestock, the pigs, to come to. They actually built a pen with mud that they were going to put these pigs in that the guys were going to fight in. So we're at the back waiting for this truck to arrive. The truck arrives. Owen
I've been
just
in one of those
happened to.
matches.
Oh my goodness! And the truck arrives, and the guy says, "Okay, where do you want the pigs?" And Owen says, "Oh, right here. Follow me." And we're like, "What the heck is he going?" So he escorts the guy with all these pigs, and they follow him into Vince's office while they're at the production meeting. And so everybody, now we're all hanging out as close to Vince's office without giving it away for the production meeting to end. And Vince comes back after the meeting, walks into his office, and I can only imagine what he saw, all these pigs snorting around in there. And the first thing he says when he pops out the door, he screams, "Owen!" He knew right away. He knew.
Oh my gosh. That's so
I love it.
I heard eventually, though, he did say that was a good one.
No, yeah, yeah. That and duct taping. Remember the old Halliburton briefcases, the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like the Money in the Bank briefcase. Basically, he would take somebody's like a Tony Gurria or Jack Lanza. He'd take their briefcase and he'd duct tape it to the pipe in the ceiling where they could. Oh my god! It just anyway, crazy stuff.
Tony Gurria, he was gosh, what a special person that guy is.
Oh, I know. If you got, I hate that. I'm not trying to take, but one of the greatest that ever happened during a match. The most fun I've had in a match was a match in Germany. It was Edge and Christian versus Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett. And two instances happened in this match. We did the old distract the referee, and Owen's hitting him with the foreign object, and he's hiding it. And he's passing it back and forth with Jeff when I'm checking him out and stuff like that. And then we get to the big reveal spot where I catch him with the foreign object, where he's got it hidden under his arm. So he won't lift his arm up. And of course, I force him. I start a count. If I get to 5, I'm going to disqualify you. So he lifts his arm, and I'm waiting for this foreign object to drop from under his arm. It's a napkin. And it's just floating down to the. So Edge had been selling for this foreign napkin for like 5 minutes. And anyway.
I heard Owen used to, when they were short on a foreign object, I heard he used to eat a bag of chips and flip it inside out and then crumple it and wrap it up in tape. And then you would see the tape handle on a metal thing. And the fans would go, "He's got something." It was just a chip bag.
Yeah.
Oh,
which I always
wow.
thought was great.
Yep.
'Cause every time he punches me, I smell like dill pickle chips. I don't know why.
I got salt in my eye from his foreign object.
Yeah.
I remember the WrestleMania 10 match between Owen and Brett. And I remember the whole lead up to that was sibling rivalry. He always hated his older brother. What was funny for me was I was the older brother, but my younger brother was taller, thinner, more of an athlete. All the girls loved him, and I hated his guts. So I identified with Owen for that entire thing. So I was just like, "Yeah, Owen, get him, Owen, get him." And then ever since then, you'd watch him go from there. He became king of the ring. He carried 2 Slammies to the ring. And I just really enjoyed how when he was on the nasty side of things, he just ate it up. He just enjoyed it so much. How he would carry his 2 Slammies and then like duck in front of Bulldog on the way to the ring to take the spotlight. He was so funny all the time, but you wanted to hate him, but he was doing such a good job of it. It was back. See, now I think when there's a bad guy doing a great job of being a bad guy, we all go, "Oh, I appreciate you. I'm going to cheer for you." And that's not how we're supposed to do stuff. We're supposed to boo the bad guy and have a really good time doing it.
Well, one thing he did that I use as an educational resource. So it's great to go out there and have something that everyone jumps in, like ballin' or "you can't see me," that everyone says together in unison. But if you're a bad guy and there's something that when the people say, you freak out, you stomp your feet, you plug your ears, they're going to be so much more motivated to keep doing it. And it's brilliant because I'm telling you, like Vicky Guerrero. Music would hit, boo, like the loudest boos. Kurt Angle, music hits, you suck. Well, he goes along with it, but
Yeah.
the more you pretend, you can't stand it, and that's when you're super over as a heel. When the audience is just, as soon as your music hits, they're going to give it to you. You're going to sell it, and it's going to fuel them. You have that flow back and forth where you're freaking out and they're getting louder and all that. Oh, it's beautiful. It's if you can do that.
Nothing better than telling the audience not to do something, because then they're going to do it.
Right. Especially when he was saying stuff like, I am not a nugget.
Yes.
Oh,
And
I am.
Good.
I say one of his things. Yeah, I'm not a nugget. Yeah, or
Yes.
enough is enough. It's time for a change. And
Yes.
I say that all the time. And I don't reference Owen Hart, but I'll say that all the time. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. And people
Right.
look at me like, what are you saying? And I'm like, Owen Hart.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's a funny question here in the Facebook chat, and someone said, "What would Owen eat in catering?" Do you guys have the behind-the-scenes scoop? What he would put on his plate?
I didn't see that he had anything different, except he would tend to, when nobody was looking, like for example, catering would make, let's say, chili or something like that, and he would find the spice itself and kind of overspice the chili.
Cool.
So like guys like spicy, but you'd take a bite and you'd be like water, just stuff like that. He just, again, but as far as what he ate, it's one of those things. I don't know if anybody paid attention, really.
Jimmy, what was his diet specifically?
Oh my goodness!
What was his nutritional intake, his macros?
I think it's a good question, because sometimes people do like weird things, like put ketchup all over their steak, or like there's the lady who dips her chicken fingers in Coca-Cola. Like you just never know what people do.
The funniest catering thing I ever heard was Kevin Nash told us one time how the Ultimate Warrior used to come to catering, and he'd eat his chicken breast and his vegetables, and then he'd go to the dessert section and he'd get a cookie, and he'd crumple up the cookie and go, and then throw the cookie in the garbage. Because he would get the smell and the taste of the cookie from the smell, and then he wouldn't eat it.
Chew it and spit it out. That's what I thought.
Here I'm going to out somebody else now from catering. Now that you brought it up, the great Khali.
Chicken breast.
So obviously he did not eat beef. So there you go. They made chili one day in catering, and we go into catering, and there's Dalip sitting there, and he's chowing down on a bowl of chili, and everybody looks at each other and goes, okay, who's going to go over and tell him? And everybody went, not me. So Michael Hayes says, I'll go tell him. Hey, Dalip, there's beef in there. They go, what?
No.
There's beef in that chili. No. Yes, there's beef in the chili. It's good. And he just kept going, and I'm like, what the heck? Anyway.
If it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
There's so many good questions in the chat, guys, so please keep them coming. We'll try and get to all of them. But Jimmy, since I have you talking right now, this one's for you. How do you keep your composure, or how did you keep your composure, not get excited when you were in the ring with some of wrestling's biggest moments?
Trust me, it's not easy. I mean, like I always refer back to the WrestleMania 24 match with The Undertaker and Edge, and you're in the main event of WrestleMania with The Undertaker, who, as many people have referred to, the godfather of WWE. He was our locker room leader. He was the man. And as people have been seeing, I don't know if people have been watching the Last Ride of the Undertaker series that's been on the WWE Network the last couple of weeks, and it's not easy at times. But then once the bell rings and you start getting into match mode, that kind of now you're concentrating on doing your job. So and then once the match is over and everything's done, now you're back to, I hope I was okay. I hope that I did what they asked of me, kind of thing. But again, it's that moment before and after, but during you're kind of like in autopilot, sort of.
Yeah, you don't know you're in the middle of a greatest moment until much later. So you just feel like, I'm refereeing a match.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, sometimes you could look in the audience and say, wow, something special occurred tonight. But to feel that, and know it at the time, it's pretty rare. Yeah, normally you have to look back and say, "Wow, that was a special time." Yeah, well, when I did the Raw reunion, because I've been, you know, a civilian now for a few years, and you forget, I go to the Raw reunion and Undertaker, Stone Cold, Booker T, we're all sitting at the table having a beer. I'm like, I forgot these guys are my friends. You know what I mean? Because I'm such a fan, and you haven't seen them for a while. But then you're like, especially when they pop, when you come in, they're like, hey, it's Santino. I'm like, you guys like me? You know me?
Aw, of course,
You guys remember my name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course they do.
Yeah.
Anthony, there's a question here for you. Do you have any tips or advice for the indie wrestlers during this downtime?
Oh.
Get jacked. Get jacked. A lot of the indie wrestlers, they just don't realize. I think that you have to become a full-time, many things, a full-time actor, a full-time professional wrestler, a full-time bodybuilder, and you really have to become your product. You are a business. Your ability to wrestle is the product.
Mhm.
So there's research and development. There's marketing. You got to get out there, social media, and do everything. You have to run yourself like a business. You go to work every day, 9 to 5. So you have to kind of get up and start your day. I got to put 2 hours in of weights. I got to get my nutrition in. Everything's part of your business. And if you look at it like that,
Anthony brought it up that you're not just a bodybuilder, you're an athlete and everything, but you're also an actor when you're a pro wrestler. Take this time when you're at home, you're in between workouts, in between eating, jump online, check out your local improv theaters. Like here in Toronto, Bad Dog Theater has online classes to learn improv at home over Zoom or a video chat. Second City offers classes for you to learn improv and get better at performing in front of a camera, because this is a camera and you are performing in front of it. And when you're in a setting, a theater setting or a wrestling setting, you're in front of all those people.
Right.
You got to learn how to do that stuff. You might be a really great athlete and suck on the mic. Now's the chance to get out there and get really, really good on the mic.
That's incredible point. Nug and Anthony put those two together. Like we talk about all the time. I can name you probably at least a dozen guys off the top of my head who are not in the WWE and not globally known that are fantastic talents in the ring. Just haven't developed a character, a persona, something that would resonate with the audience, other than the fact that they're really good and technically sound. You need that complete package to become a global superstar and someone that people will get invested in and want to invest their money in seeing. And that's a perfect way to do it. This downtime is a great way to learn and work on that kind of stuff. That's amazing.
yeah, Superman didn't have a fragile little weak ass body. Sorry, but
He was
and
also
he's
a dud
Superman.
on the mic.
He's a superhero. So I mean, you gotta have that physique, man. You gotta figure it out. There's so much information out there. Whether you're gonna work your slow twitch muscle fibers, explosive muscle fibers, and anaerobic conditioning, and blah blah blah, and diet and paleo and no fats, no sugars, whatever. There's so much out there. It's gonna take trial and error, but if you want to look like a big league player, you gotta have a big league physique. And
Like Otis.
I've seen so many guys that I'm like, this guy's good. He's entertaining. He's athletic. He gets the storytelling. You can't be 152 pounds and expect to face Randy Orton.
Those guys are very few and far between. I mean, like obviously you get a guy like Rey Mysterio who's not, the largest talent in the world, but he more than compensates for his lack of size in other ways. But you
He's
can't.
still jacked.
Yeah, but you can't. There has to be more to it. You know what I mean? It's just yes, you can do it and not be 220 or 240, but at the same time you have to have something to offer that compensates for that. You can't be. Yeah.
And if you don't want to take classes online, look, here's a little board game called Smack Talk Showdown. 2 random cards. You are the downtown dentist. Cut a promo. Take this home and practice. You don't have to spend money on a class. Just grab some random words and cut a promo as the iron farmer.
There's a good question here from Ted in the Facebook chat, and it says, "Do you guys think Charlotte is overexposed?" Interesting. What do you think?
Maybe
she's on every show.
There you go. So Nug nailed it right there. She's on every show, and it's we all know how good she is,
Right.
and possibly I know with all due respect to AC, Charlotte is also viewed as probably the best female talent as well. There's an argument to be made between her and Asuka.
100%.
That being said, she's on Raw, she's on NXT, she's on SmackDown. The less you see of her, the more special she becomes, especially as champion. When you see her in all the three shows, it's like, oh, here's Charlotte again.
Yeah, Charlotte is. I'd put her a little bit ahead with regards to the WWE product, sports entertainment kind of direction. You know, MMA fighter, pro wrestler, puroresu shoot style. That's Oscar's thing. But they're definitely both. She is. You know what? The WWE they've never really been really good at the whole less is more concept. Sometimes when someone's over, they have a tendency to go to the well too much, and even sometimes in markets, and it's hard because people want to see her, and she's awesome, and she's one of the what do you call it, the flagship talent of current generation. So how do you not put her out there when she's at the top? But you're doing yourself a disservice a little bit by putting her out there every single show.
If she's a must-see talent and she's the champion of the show on Wednesday nights, NXT, why is she on Thursday? Why is Bayley not traveling to the other shows? Why is Asuka not traveling to the other shows? If you want to see her, you tune in to see her on the show she's the champion of on Wednesday nights, Friday nights in Canada. Watch that show. Mm-hmm. That's when you see her. Yeah. But to have her travel from show to show and challenge everybody, nobody else is doing that.
I think she's so good, even on the mic, like especially lately. I don't know. I love that there's listening to these promos when there's no audience, because you actually feel like they're speaking like directly to you. I'm a big fan of that right now. And I think she's so good at every single thing that she does that now that she's, on every single show, it doesn't feel as much of like a treat for me to see her. Do you know what I mean? And whereas before I'd be like, wow, Charlotte's here, or Brock Lesnar's on, like I like again, we always agree with this, less is more. And I really think that really stands true with someone like Charlotte. She's amazing. Don't get me wrong. When she's on, I stop what I'm doing to watch, but I want to feel like it's a treat to see her on television.
No, you're absolutely right. You run the risk of overexposure, like Anthony said. And back in the era where you had somebody like a Rock or a Stone Cold, where they were at this level where you didn't mind seeing them, you wanted to see them on every platform you could possibly see them on.
You couldn't get enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is not a knock on Charlotte whatsoever or any other superstar in the WWE. I don't see anybody on the current roster right now that is quite there, if that makes sense. And again, I'm not meaning to disrespect anybody. It's just,
I don't think anybody's going to be respected if you say you're not at the level of The Rock or Stone Cold. Yeah. If they are, they got an issue. But Carolyn said something Nug said that no one else is doing this. So it's kind of a feather in her cap to go down as one of the greatest of all time, to do something that no one else is doing, right, or even capable of doing, and traveling on all the shows. And the other thing is that she can always throw this back in people's faces and say, I was the Iron Horse, I was the workhorse, I did all the shows, I held it down during this time. And then, she can play that entitlement kind of angle.
Which is a Flair angle.
Yes.
Here's a good question from Giancarlo. What can WWE do to improve the women's tag team division?
Oh, please let me. Hey, when you have one tag team, an actual tag team, and they're called the Iconics, don't tease them breaking up.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Keep your damn tag teams together, you monkeys.
Yeah, my answer was going to be simple. How about have actual ladies tag team?
Have another tag team. Have two actual tag teams.
And focus a little bit on the division.
Yeah, it starts at the grassroots level too. Let people that are out there in the indies know that, the largest professional wrestling company in the world is looking for women's tag teams, and to start developing now. And then all of a sudden, they have to work their way up the ranks and get developmental contracts and NXT and called up and blah, blah, blah. called over. Sorry, but yeah, I think put the message out there and let it start coming through the hopper naturally too.
Or you have some women down at NXT who are looking for a spot and looking. Why not? Hey, get with someone that you are friends with. Get someone that you like working with together, and say, hey, let's form a team and let's present this to management and see what they
Yes.
say.
That's the path of least resistance. Absolutely, become a specialist
100%.
in something that
Yeah.
no one else is.
Right.
There was a good comment in one of the chats. I don't remember which one because it already went up. But did you see Kairi Sane turning on Asuka, which I was fearful of on Monday Night Raw when they had that great promo with the recorder and they were jamming out, and Kairi Sane looked to be so happy for Asuka. And then like Kairi kind of disappeared in the background, and I was like, oh my God, she's totally going to turn on Asuka right now, and I don't want it to happen. What do you guys think? I don't know. I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't either. Kyrie is hilarious right now playing the recorder. I hope we get a recorder concert every week. It's a real nice break in the action or inaction. It's a noise that's not wrestling. When there's no crowd and the room is empty, she should be playing that recorder all through Asuka's matches, just as a soundtrack. It's so great that Asuka, this murderous, crazy, green bleeding warrior, has a pal that plays the recorder. It's very fun, and I hope she has that pal for a long time. But Kyrie's going to be the person attacked. You know, when you're Spider-Man and you out your secret identity, all your loved ones get killed. Well, now Asuka's loved ones are getting killed left and right. So I'm really going to, that Kyrie will turn on her, but I'm hoping not anytime soon.
Sorry.
No worries. I agree with that. I think that happens a little too often now, where you see tag teams break up for what. Oh, okay. I'm going to lay out here and just listen to the concert. I'm going to listen to the concert.
Amazing.
That is awesome. I don't have a recorder. I actually have a little flute from Greece, but I'm not going to break that out.
I have one, but I don't know where it is. I can play Hot Cross Buns, and I can play Star Wars.
Oh, you can play Star Wars?
Yeah, and Jurassic Park. I used to be able to play Jurassic Park.
I used to play the saxophone in band class way back in junior high and high school, and I started with alto, went to tenor, then they put me on baritone sax because I was the only guy that can carry the big case home. So, but I did have in one of our shows a solo. Do you remember the song "Windy"?
Yes, everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone knows it's windy, but there's a sax solo at the beginning of the song.
Come on.
That I had practiced. That I had practiced to the cows came home.
Awesome.
Had it nailed. I couldn't screw this up if I tried hard. But apparently, guess what? Going live in front of the audience, it can. And but the best part was it was so weird the way I screwed it up. When we got to the back, my music teacher said to me, we're probably the only ones in the room on the stage that knew that you really messed that up. He said, because all the notes kind of fit together, even though it wasn't the right notes. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, it was just way off, and I wanted to cry.
Okay, if I play a song, can you guys guess it?
Yes, please. Yeah. I want a full stream of Anthony playing the recorder.
You got to guess it, though. No?
I don't know.
Hold on. Come on. Nug's going to get it.
It's in there. It's hitting some... Oh, Karma Chameleon by Culture Club.
There you go.
I knew you'd get it.
I want to go buy a recorder now.
My wheelhouse, 80s, man. It's my wheelhouse.
Jimmy, can you play that?
I will not dare play this, but this is my souvenir flute from Greece. So
nice.
Very nice.
It's wooden and it does play, but not today.
The recorder was Marco's introduction into whatever wind instruments.
Anthony, what other songs do you know?
Amazing Grace and Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Play Amazing
Shortening Bread. Shortening Bread.
Oh,
okay, hold on,
I want to hear Amazing Grace.
You get the idea.
I think
I was
for
just getting
sure,
into it.
today when we're done, if we can get Sportsnet, Anthony should play it, and we should just fade very slow to black as Anthony plays out
There you
with
go.
any song.
Oh, this might be my favorite episode of Aftermath ever.
My wife is probably upstairs thinking, "What the hell is going on down there?"
We and just for Caroline, we have a flute from Poland. It's not here at the house. It's in La Belle Provence now. Over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
So when we
Oh,
get there, I'll bring it back.
my face hurts from smiling. When we're back in the studio, we still have to do all this stuff. It's so fun.
I'll bring
I
it. I'll
think
bring it. We'll
I'll
do a
bust out
duet.
my ukulele. It's somewhere in here
Oh
too.
my goodness.
Oh my God,
Ooh.
could you imagine we did like a little band?
Okay.
We get Edge and Christian to show up with their kazoos and Xavier to come with the trombone. We could do a whole, and then Elias on the guitar. Oh my God, we've got
Could
a
you
whole band.
imagine? I would
Marco
sing.
Marco has a Fisher Price xylophone that
Perfect.
I can play some Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on that.
There you go.
I know Deck the Halls on the piano.
Oh, very nice.
That's
Okay, so
about
we have
it.
to wait till Christmas to do this, but that's okay.
This is the best.
I can play
Okay,
the triangle.
that's a good one. Thoughts on Ember Moon's injury announcement?
Sad news. It's terrible when you get not just Ember, any superstar that's had to deal with these kind of injuries, and hopefully they're just erring on the side of caution for now, and eventually that things will get better for her. But if not,
What is
you
it?
know,
What's the injury?
Achilles.
Achilles.
Oh, Achilles
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not forever. Achilles is a year. That's a year.
Oh, I
We're
feel like it could
hopefully.
be a bad one. Achilles
Yeah.
are like
Yeah,
scary.
Edge blew,
If you don't
Edge blew
heal
his
it properly.
Achilles.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't heal
Xavier
that
is
properly.
recovering from an Achilles injury
Yeah.
right now. If
Yeah.
you ever watch Xavier's Up Down Down channel, they have they play video games of all sorts of different kinds, but they also do a Dungeons and Dragons show called Roll Out, and Ember is part of that crew of people. And so when you watch that show, you get to see her. She's having a blast. She's playing the game and having fun with her friends, and then she shows up on backstage every now and then too, like she's staying busy, but she wants to be back in the ring, and everybody's asking her what's happening. So she comes out with that announcement this week, and of course it's kind of heavy, but I don't think it's forever. But I think Jimmy's right. I think you would err on the side of caution. I
Right.
don't know when I'll be back. It's pretty bad, but if she does come back, it's a great comeback because we all miss her right now.
Yeah, the whole notion of possibly career ending, you forget the word possibly, right? You're like career ending, career ending, career ending. Oh damn, I forgot. Oh yeah, no. If it was career ending, and she's climbing up. You know what I mean? If it was someone that had achieved what they wanted and they were multiple time champions, it's a little easier to swallow. But this is somebody that's hasn't reached her full potential yet. There's a lot more awesome wrestling moments from this young lady. So hopefully this is not the end.
I agree. We talked about injuries on the last stream, and we never wish that upon anyone because those are tough. But you know what? If she's staying busy, especially mentally, just trying to keep your spirits up, that's half the battle. And I really think that helps in recovery as well. So
No, and being
you
on
want to hear some good
backstage.
news?
Yes, good news.
Go for it.
So I did my stem cell treatments in February,
And
they said you can start seeing benefits anywhere starting between 3 months and 6 months.
Is Anthony?
So,
That's now.
Yeah, so May whatever it was, May 8th was 3 months, and I did at that time. I'm like, it still hurts a bit. Anyway, knock on wood, the last week I'm sitting up out of bed without that jolt of pain in my lower back.
Ooh,
amazing.
And yeah, so I'm doing everything. I also started really diligently foam rolling out my hip flexors and my glutes because the whole cradle area is really tight, putting a little extra pressure down on there. Like painful foam rolling, like contorting your body, hitting those weird spots. Of course, I hang upside down almost every day. And I'm not doing hot yoga, so that's another gear I have to go to get some pain. Anyway, fingers crossed, it just gets a little better. I have to pick
don't
up
rush it, man. Don't rush it.
But even
picking up Marco 50 times a day is kind of tough too, right? He's a heavy little sack of meat.
that's awesome news. And even if it doesn't lead to a return to the ring per se, at least the pain-free part is a blessing.
Yeah. I tell you, everything I envision always I make it happen. So I'm going to become a commentator for the WWE later. I'll call a shot right now. I'm going to knock on their doors and break their,
Chops.
chops until, and I'm also going to work on my skill set and become just undeniable. And I'd like to start on main event. When this is all over and done. Just before it was done, I went down, had an audition, and they really liked it. And they escalated it to Michael Cole, who has the final decision on this. And this is, I probably shouldn't even be saying this because it's not even happening, but I'm saying I'm going to make
Somebody
it.
mute him.
I'm going to make it happen. And then, if my back is good enough, I think there's room for one miracle, a miracle night.
Or Milan Miracle?
Well, it might be somewhere else. It might be a Georgia Miracle or a New York Miracle. Who knows?
But I just want you in the front row watching the show, and then somebody pulling you out for one match. Exact way you started.
If I'm a commentator, I'll be in the proximity of the ring, and if there's a champion that nobody wants to fight and comes and pokes my chest, maybe I can come out and have a very special magical moment. So I'm starting to visualize these things, and I'm starting to put them out there into the universe.
I believe that the power of manifestation, you got to see it and feel it and imagine yourself in that moment. And I swear the more you do that and you really believe that it's going to happen, you will be there one day. And then I'm going to interview you on the power of manifestation when you do that, Anthony, because that to me is incredible. I don't think we do that enough.
Yeah, the only thing that I've envisioned that did not become a reality was playing left field for the Blue Jays. But becoming a national champion, making it to the WWE, all this stuff. I visualized and daydreamed everything, even this show. But when I knew I was going to retire, I wanted to be on Aftermath, and I envisioned that, and it became a reality. And
and then I became the host, and you were like, I don't want to hang out with this girl.
No, you're an angel from heaven.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've said, AC. Thank you. Listen, Anthony, I know, right? Fingers and toes. I hope that happens for you, but beyond everything, I hope that, like Jimmy said, you're pain-free, because that, beyond everything, it's your quality of life. But I really, really hope that one day that happens for you, because I feel like we would all I can speak, I think, for everyone on this stream, fans included, we'd be so, so happy.
Yeah,
and also give us an in.
We have an
in.
Direct access.
I also had Marco late in life. I had him when I was 44 years old. So, when he's 20, I'm going to be 64 years old. And I really got to keep my health and keep my wellness, and I got to keep being as limber as possible. And I want to be there and be active. I don't want to say, if I want to teach him something, whether it's in judo or professional wrestling, I'd like to be able to show him myself instead of saying, hey, you top student, show him how to do it, because I can't do it anymore. So it's really all about health and wellness and maintenance.
I agree.
And 3 words: just for men.
Oh yeah.
Guys, here's a fun question for you. Was Andre the Giant, or Giant Andrew, as my dad would call him, were his hands really that big that it could hide a can of beer?
A can of beer could hide your face.
Let's also keep in mind, a can of beer used to be smaller.
Yeah, it was 10 ounces as opposed to 12. But
yeah.
No, legit, he could put his hand, like I'm doing now to cover my face. That's literally what he could do with his hand. It was incredibly large. And it wasn't just large. His fingers were like thick.
Mine are huge.
You know what I mean? It was you shook hands with him, he engulfed it. It was
Khali's another guy, the great Khali.
Big Show.
And his hands, but
Khali's are bigger than Show's.
Oh
yeah, wow. But even his hands were maybe as large, like lengthwise fingers.
Oh, but fatter.
But Andre's were like thick. Yeah.
You know who had a giant hand was Kurgan, Robert Maillet.
Ooh, yes.
Robert, his hand, when he would put the claw on a guy, I mean, I shot a movie with him, and his whole hand, when he put the claw on me, and it was just he pretty much touched fingers on the back of my head.
Oh my God.
Awesome, just a huge man. And I could only imagine, of all the big dudes in wrestling, I've met him in the Big Show, and I'm and Braun, and they're all just big dudes. But they're all no, Andre was bigger. Everybody knows Andre was the bigger one.
It's crazy.
He also had the different proportions because of the, I don't know if gigantism is the politically correct term, but
acromegaly.
Yeah, something. There's a technical term.
Big Show had that, but they
They were
took
able
out the
to.
tumor.
thing out.
Yeah.
And it stopped him. And I guess he was obviously really big when he was young. Because when he started wrestling, he was already 7 feet, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a great athlete, too.
Yeah. And
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
no, and good for him because he's actually moved on. He's got his own show now. That he's his own sitcom and show is having a lot of fun with that. So
Oh, yeah, the show
Yeah.
I pitched
shout out to him.
myself, yeah.
Oh, did you?
Oh
Is that
no,
where it
he's
came
not
from?
bitter.
Huh.
Not at all.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. No, okay,
Sorry
I'll tell you.
to bring it up. I'll take it back.
I pitched a show years ago when the network was first coming out called Somebody Loves Santino. And it was supposed to be about Beth Phoenix and I post WWE career, our home lives. And Santino owned a local small gym. And just all the characters and that would come in the gym and work out, like the regulars and all that stuff. And we pitched a pilot, and I pitched a pilot. I filmed it. I had it edited by one of the guys that was doing. He was a WWE.com guy in his spare time. He took the footage and edited it, and I gave Vince a CD, a DVD, and he watched it on the plane. And we had a meeting, and he said, "This is excellent. Like, let's do this. I really appreciate the initiative. It was very well done." And so I did my pilot with canned laughter, which I actually have it here somewhere. I should find it. But then Brian Gewirtz at the time, he wanted to do it like a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, like
There's
the office.
no canned laughter and like moving cameras. I wanted a Walt Disney style set, the classic stairs in the background, the TV, all that stuff. Like Married with Children, All in the Family, that
Golden
classic,
Girls.
Golden, yeah. And so anyway, they assigned me a writer, nice guy, Eric Shapiro. And unfortunately, Eric had a string of bad luck. Like his dad passed, and so we gave him time. He broke his hip, so we gave him time. He got Lyme disease from a
gee.
tick, so we gave him time. And then he's trying to write these comedies, and so we did three episodes. They just weren't funny. They just were like my pilot that I did on my own was way better. And then when they saw them, they're like, "Yeah, this is horrible." And I was so frustrated because I'm like, "Yeah, these are horrible, but this is nothing. I shouldn't like these were poorly thought of, and it was bad." There was one episode that we did with Kozlov where I was the car had voice recognition software. And both of us were trying to give it commands, and it couldn't understand either of us. And that was actually funny. But yeah,
but true story probably too, right? Based on a true story. Yeah. So in essence, what you're saying is the pilot was a no-go, so Vince bought the XFL. Or created the XFL. Yeah.
There you go.
Basically.
Maybe we will take one more question before we head off here soon. And I feel like we've talked about this before on Aftermath, so it'd be a long time ago. So I think it'd be cool to revisit it. Can you see an NXT Canada brand?
Oh,
I mean, we have the talent for it, and it would be great. And especially right now, when nothing's happening, we can't cross the border. Yes, it'd be great to have all these Canadian wrestlers doing something for the WWE. But we're about, a 4-hour flight away from NXT. If they want any of our Canadian guys, bring them down.
Yeah, originally, I have a business outside of this. And when I opened this business, my intention was to be a Canadian developmental territory because that's how it was when OVW I went to was owned by somebody. Danny Davis owned OVW, and it was kind of subcontracted out by the developmental. There was also one in Georgia. There was also one called FCW. There was one in Memphis at the time, and then I think there was even one in Cincinnati a long time ago.
Yes.
But they don't do that anymore. Now they have the performance.
Ohio Valley. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they go to another country like NXT UK, it will be a WWE structure building center. If they do one in Japan and the Middle East and everything, it's all going to be WWE buildings. They're not going to subcontract it anymore, which is quite unfortunate. I put a lot of effort into that business, but because it goes by market, and the market is North America. So Canada is, for those that don't know, is a part of North America.
What's this
Yeah.
now? Anthony, hold on. I got
Hold
to
on,
write
I
this
got to write
down.
this
You're
down
saying
too.
it's part of North
Hold on.
America?
Canada is part
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
it's
How do you
it's
spell part?
uh, with an e at the end because we are in Canada.
Oh,
Um,
right. There's a
no,
U in the middle of it.
yeah, it's. I understand that logic and that thinking that Canada is part of North America, the North American market, and it's kind of a crossover. But at the same time, it un, it undercuts the amazing amount of talent that Canada has that could be utilized and probably, you know, benefit from a developmental system located. Let's say I'm picking Toronto because we're the biggest city in Canada, but you know what I mean. Having a centrally located Canadian developmental facility to train the next generation of superstars, and there Canada, like I said, has a large number of talents that would probably benefit from this. And not only Canadian, you've got guys, let's say from Buffalo, so close to the border, that could actually be a part of this as well. You know, so
Oh, I
uh,
could name about 20 guys from Buffalo that could be
oh,
a part of
there
it.
you go. See,
And also,
so
being a Commonwealth country, we can easily get guys from the United Kingdom and Australia to come
mhm,
over here and train. I always thought, because every time that somebody has to go to Orlando from Canada or another country, they have to get a work visa,
yeah,
and that's it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money to gather up all this stuff. So why don't we can save a lot of money on work visas by having them here,
and
and then the
P1s.
cream of the crop then graduate to down there. That just makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Right.
But you know what? This whole actually Corona gimmick, I think it's maybe a good opportunity to reopen the conversation since that we can't go there. And I think maybe Lance Storm is
Ah,
if he's stuck in Canada, maybe he can because he closed his school.
yeah.
So
I bet
maybe
you could get him to come to your gym.
Mm,
well we're closed too, but
yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
I'll,
No.
I'll
Well, there you go,
We'll
Lance.
make some calls, Anthony.
Hamster.
My idea.
Yeah.
My idea.
The
well,
wheels are
good
Hamsters
deal.
are
turning. The
going.
wheels are turning. Hey, if Lance Storm doesn't mind moving from Calgary, that would be a good choice
To
too
the
for the
Calgary,
thriving
weather.
metropolis
Alberta,
of
Canada.
Mississauga.
Yeah, make the
Yeah,
trip.
why not?
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We got to
Anthony,
wrap
play
it
us
up.
out.
Yeah.
We got to
Oh,
wrap it up. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're on here every single Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.